Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. So this is going to be episode 1 of my rally account series, and if you guys were waiting for this, I'm sorry it took so long. They've just been releasing stuff non-stop these past few weeks, and I've had to adjust to it and make sure everybody else adjusts to it correctly, and it's just been a little chaotic these past few weeks. So it took me a little while to start doing these. So the first one, I thought I would start out with the most basic thing that you're going to need, and that's being able to take a hit when you do lose your hero. And if you guys are going to start rallying, there's just no possible way that you're never going to lose your hero. There's just too many different setups and different ways you got to hit certain people, and there's just no way you're going to burn every single person the first time you hit them. So you got to be able to take a hit when you do get in that situation and lose your hero. At least a solo, so you have time to shield and all that. But I'm going to show you how to be able to eat a rally without your hero. Now, when you are heroless, you have very, very little stats left. And these newer cores are pretty much going to zero every bit of stats you do have left. So, you are really going to be taking these hits with just troops. Now, because of that, troop count and troop types mean everything. That will determine if you burn or not. Alright, so let's start with the troop counts, I think. Yeah, let's do that first. Why not? Now, to be a Heroless trap, you are at least aiming for around 30 billion or more troops. You could possibly do it with less, but 30 billion or more, you should be okay. Now, of course, majority of those being tier 2s. I'm going to say at least 20 billion tier 2s. More if you can get them, that'll just make you a whole lot stronger, but I'd say 20 billion at the least. You could possibly do it with less again, but 20 billion you should be pretty good for pretty much everything. Now, you have to have them set up correctly, or it's probably not going to work for everything. It might work for some, but for everything probably not. You will just be a whole lot tougher if you set them up correctly. Now, if you guys have been watching my trap series and all that and know how I set my troops up on my trap, this is going to be pretty much the same thing, just a little bit differently and a lot higher troop counts. So, you want a massive amount of regular tier 2s, and I'll explain these battering rams here in a second, but you want a massive amount of regular tier 2s. Now, you want these regular ones because defensively, regular troops are the best, and with everybody sending wild troops in these rallies, regulars are going to be your best bet because regulars have an advantage over wild troops. So that's a win right there. Now, wild troops over here, if you are going to build the tier 2s, which I suggest you do on a Heroless trap, you want these at least half the amount of your regular troops. So if you have 7 billion of these, you want 3.5 billion or less of these. Now, you don't want more than that. You don't want to even mix all these troops across the board, because that will present weaknesses in your setup and allow them to possibly burn you if someone really knows what they're doing. Now, let me explain that a little bit. Before, people would just even mix their meats all the way across the board. Like, if they had 3 billion of these, they'd have 3 billion of these and 3 billion of those. And before, that worked pretty well, because cores were not able to burn through the troop counts. Like, if they had 30 billion troops, the cores just didn't have the ability to burn that many troops. But now with these new cores, these new boosts and all that, they can burn a massive amount of troops. Now, if you have them set up correctly, they can't burn them as easy or at all. So, you want to have them set up pretty well. You got to know your troop types and what works and just what doesn't. Now, you want to keep these less than half the troops. So again, 7 billion of these, if you build that many, 3.5 billion of these or less. Now, strategic troops, these you don't want much of these at all. Hardly any. Really the only reason you have these is if they were to send a regular troop rally or strategics, you would have that little bit to help you kill that march, which you shouldn't have a problem killing it at all, but you do want a little bit of these in there just in case, and those will help out. Now, if you were to take these up in troop count, let's say you took them to like 3 billion, like these wilds over here, these would just get slaughtered, because with most rallies they're sending being wild troops, wilds have a massive advantage over strategic. They kill them super easy. So that's why you don't want a whole lot of these. You want to keep these lower in troop count, because when these are super high in troop count, well, anything else is super high in troop count, they take the hit. These regulars right here, because they are so much higher than these other two, these will absorb every bit of the hit, and these other two are basically invincible. They do not die. Well, they don't die much. You'll lose like 20,000 of these, but you'll lose like 1 million of these if they were to kill that many. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have a higher troop count in these and a lower troop count in these won't die as much, and these will take all the hit. So if that makes sense, if you guys need more explanation on that, just leave a comment. So that's kind of how you want to set your troops up. I keep clicking that. You want a massive amount of tier 2 regulars. You want half the amount of your regulars to be the wilds. So again, 7 billion, you want 3.5 billion or less. And then strategics, you only want a little bit of them because they do present a weakness, especially with everyone sending wilds. Alright, so that's pretty much it for troop counts and how you want to set those up. Also, of course, you should be in a big account, have plenty of tier 4s to support the nerf. But just in case you guys are going to just set up a Heroless rally, be sure you guys build enough tier 4s to be able to not nerf yourself. Because building that many, you definitely don't want to nerf it. Especially with it taking 25% of your troops every time you get nerfed. So be sure you guys build enough troops, tier 4s, so you don't. Alright, just be careful of that, guys. Now, let's explain these battering rams here. These are tier 1 siege, if you guys did not know that. And these are in here. There was actually 5 billion of them, but they burned off during the kill event. These are in here so... Let's see. They're in here so I can choose to burn or not when I'm taking Heroless hits. Now let me explain that a little bit. Tier 1s burn super easy. But when you get enough of these tier 1s in here, this embassy right here is your lifesaver on a Heroless trap. This is the one building out of all these that is actually going to help you when you are Heroless. When you have super high troop count, embassy becomes even more effective. The more troops you have, the more effective your embassy is. So, if I'm Heroless, and I was to take a hit, and I did not have a reinforcement, I could burn if they knew what they're doing and they hit pretty hard. So they could burn those tier 1s. They could kill 100, 200 million of them if they were to hit hard enough. Now, if I am to get a reinforcement, all it takes is one troop, guys. You don't need a full reinforcement. You don't need to fill it up at all. But if you were to get one troop in there, it activates the embassy defense, which is at 25-70%. And that, as far as I know how this actually works, this is actually a percentage of a certain number that is like multiplied by the amount of troops that you have. And that's why it gets more and more effective the more troops you have. So when you get a reinforcement and it activates that defense, it turns you into a solid brick wall. They cannot touch you once you get a certain amount of troops in this city. So that's why I'm saying aim for 30 billion or more troops. 35 probably. You should be good at 30, but 35 if you want to be safe, 40 if you want to make sure you take their heroes. But if you guys want to play with these tier 1s, they do work. You can build about 5 billion, 10 billion of them if you want to, and just let yourself burn off a few. During a kill event, those are great for points. So that's why you see this account burning sometimes in the videos. They're just killing off tier 1s, and point wise I'm winning massively, but they see a bunch of kills and they just want to keep going. So that's what those are for. And anytime I was to get tired of them, all I got to do is send myself a reinforcement and you just take their hero, because you have so many troops that reinforcement is all it takes to cap the hero. And if they were to ever get through the tier 1s, like if you just let them sit there and burn it until the tier 1s are completely gone, if you have this amount of tier 2s here, you're just going to take their hero anyways, without the reinforcement or nothing. You'll just take it. The tier 1s just allow you to burn, and that's what those are for. So if you guys want to do that, and just when you were to lose your hero and just let yourself burn for some extra points and all that, that is a good way for points. Just let them burn it off, and if they were to ever reach the tier 2s, you would just take their hero immediately, with or without a reinforcement. Alright, so hopefully I did not make that too confusing. And of course, if you guys need more explanation on how to actually set this up, you can always leave a comment. You can message me a game, anything like that, guys. So let's go over this again real quick. Troop counts that you are aiming for, 30 billion plus. You should be pretty good off for pretty much everything. 35, you should have no worries. Troop types that you want mostly regular tier 2s, at least 20 billion tier 2s overall. So aim for that number, guys. More if you want to, and you'll be even better off. And you want majority regulars. You want half the amount of your regulars and your wilds. So 7 billion of those, 3.5 billion of these, for example. 3.5 billion or less, I should say. And then strategics, you only want a couple. Tier 1s, if you guys want the option to burn or not. And that's pretty much it. Also, if you guys can get your embassy to 26, which I'm sure most of you are, being a rally leader, but if you can get that to 26, that will help you a massive amount. That embassy is a lifesaver in a lot of situations. But having this many troops, that embassy should cap pretty much everything when you get that reinforcement. So if you guys were going to do the tier 1s for those extra points and stuff when you do lose a hero and you really have no other way to make points, that is an awesome way to get some points. Especially if you are letting yourself burn off 100, maybe even 150 million tier 1s each hit, and people are just swarming you with rallies and losing massively in points. That's an awesome way to get points. So if you guys want to do that, they are pretty cheap, so I definitely recommend you try that if you guys want to. So that's out there if you guys want to do that. It's a great way to make some points. So as always, if you guys need more explanation, just leave a comment or contact me in game. Whatever you guys want to do, I will be glad to explain this a little more. And I will see you guys in the next video. That's pretty much it for Heroless Trap. That's really the only thing that's going to help you. Troops and troop setup, troop count, embassy. That's pretty much it. Everything else is basically gone. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe.